Hello friends, my name is Kisan and welcome you in this video tutorial. This is the continuation of my previous video tutorial. In previous video tutorial we had seen how to write lambda expression for a functional interface method which is having 0 or many parameters. So first point in this slide already we have discussed in the introductory part of lambda expression. Now let's try to understand the second point. When you define the lambda object, you are essentially implementing a single method from an interface. The lambda object implements that interface, right? But defining a lambda does not execute it. It only defines, right? You pass the lambda to another method which calls that interface method, right? So let's try to understand by example which we had done in earlier video. So here you can see we have a functional interface is called my interface 1, which is having a method is called method 1 and whose return type is void. So here for this functional interface we have defined our lambda, right? So just defining the lambda expressions, this implementation is not gonna execute, right? So you need to call method 1 which is in this functional interface. So until unless you do not call its method, lambda is not going to execute. That's the point I wanted to convey you in this point over here, second point. Now the lambda expression is characterized by the following syntax. So you specify the parameter and after that you specify the sign of lambda and after that you can write the expression, right? So if your lambda contains only one statement, then you don't need to write a parenthesis. You don't need to write open and close parenthesis. But your lambda contains more than one parameter, then you need to specify this open and close parenthesis. But your lambda contains single statement, then specifying opening and closing parenthesis is optional. Now lambda parameters. So related examples already we have seen in previous video tutorial. Since Java lambda expressions are effectively just methods, lambda expressions can take parameters just like methods. These parameters have to match the parameters of the method on the single method interface. So if you look into this example which we had seen in earlier video tutorial, so like if you look into the definition of my interface 2, then this interface contains single method is called method 2 and which accepts a string as an argument, right? So while calling this method you need to pass a string only, then this method is gonna execute, this lambda is going to execute. So that's the point I wanted to point out over here. So this parameter, that's why this point says these parameters have to match the parameters of the method on the single method interface. Now you can have a 0 parameter if the method you are matching your lambda expression against takes no parameters, then you can write your lambda expression like this, right? You will have to give the I can show you, yeah, say here blank, there is nothing, no parameter we have defined in this parenthesis because this method does not accept any parameter, right? And after that we have written the definition of lambda expression. So that's the point all about the first 0 parameter. You can notice how the parentheses have no content in between, right? Here there is no content. That is to signal that lambda takes no parameter. Now if your functional interface method is having one parameter, then if method you are matching your lambda expression against takes one parameter, you can write lambda expression like this. So in parentheses you need to specify the parameter. After that you can write the lambda expressions. So notice the parameter is listed inside the parenthesis, right? When lambda expression takes single parameter, you can also omit the parenthesis like this, right? So here we have written the lambda expressions, but this, as we know that this interface is the functional interface. So this interface is very much aware what type of argument I have to accept. So this return type, while defining your lambda, this return type, specifying of this return type is optional. If you remove this return type as well as parenthesis, if your interface functional interface contains only one parameter, then you can remove this, and this is still gonna work. If I run this client program, then second output, your name is, we are getting successfully. So if your functional interface method takes single parameter, then specifying a parenthesis is optional over here. So that's the point I wanted to point out over here. Sorry for this. Now next point, we have multiple parameters. If the method you match your Java Lambda expression against takes multiple parameters, the parameters needs to be listed inside parentheses. Here you can see how Java code look like. Here I have given the parameter 1, comma, parameter 2, comma, parameter 3, and so on, right? So if you have multiple parameters, then specifying this parenthesis is not optional, it's mandatory. And after that, here I have written only one statement, that's why there is no curly bracket or open parenthesis and close parenthesis. But if you have multiple parameters, then opening and closing parenthesis would be must. So in bottom you can see I have listed only when the method takes a single parameter, then parenthesis can be removed or omitted, right? So here, while defining this, if you can see in my interface 3, I have a single method, and here I haven't annotated this interface as a functional interface. Still this interface is considered as a functional interface, right? So specifying functional interface is optional, right? But sometimes if you do not annotate as a functional interface, then other people may go and add another abstract method as well. And once your interface will have more than one abstract method, then your interface is no longer as a functional interface. So to rescue this kind of incident, or you can always you should annotate functional interface as a functional interface. If anybody go and try to add one more method, then immediately that will throw an error. So you can see, if I try to add one more method, right, method 7, then this guys will throw an error and saying that, so my interface 3 is no functional interface. So this will rescue from this kind of mistake, right? So in this case, my functional interface method accepts first argument as a string and second argument as a integer. So here I have specified argument type. So here specifying of argument type is optional. Here you can remove this argument type, and still this lambda expression is working fine. But this parenthesis you cannot remove. So because you have more than one parameter or more than one arguments, then in that case specifying this argument, this parenthesis is mandatory. And as your lambda expression contains more than one statement, so open and close parenthesis is mandatory. And if I run this application, then we are getting the output successfully. So that's all I wanted to convey you in this video tutorial. In next video tutorial, I'll come up with some more advanced concept about the lambda expression. So please be with me over there, and thank you so much for watching this video.